Hello and welcome. Of course, today we'll be looking at the boy child. Of course, much attention has been drawn to the girl child, but it's important also to look at how the boys are doing. And in order to make that happen, we have, of course, Bolua Tife here in the studio, of which she'll be having a boy child conference very soon, and we'll be looking at the impact and, of course, what really led her to delve into such factor. You are very much welcome.
Thank you. Such a pleasure to be here.
All right, now, first and foremost, why the boy child? Why not the usual gender norm where they usually put everything, of course, to the girl child?
All right. Thank you very much for that question. So we've actually been doing a lot of girl child advocacy campaign, girl child mentorship programs for a few years. And in the course of advocacy in different states in Nigeria, especially in the north, it dawned on me that there is such a huge gap within advocacy for the girl child and advocacy for the boy child. And it was at that point that we just decided that we're going to start doing something for the boy child. And then we started out with 500 boys in Lagos. Our first boy child conference was for 500 boys in Lagos. And during the conference, it just dawned on me that, the work that we've been doing with the girl child and without focusing on the boy child just felt like we were just working and the whole work was just going down the drain because the boys had so much to say. I don't think I've done any project since it's been like 8 years that we've been running McAden Foundation, and I don't think there's been any project that made me feel very emotional that got to me as much as that first boy child conference, because we usually have station counselors where the boys can visit, and some boys who have like mental health challenges or that have experienced trauma, or they have one or two things that they are going through at home and they can't discuss with anybody, they just go to see our counselors. And then when we got feedback from that conference, it dawned on me that there is such a wide gap. And then the thing is, if we put, there is nothing wrong with placing premium on the girl child, because the girl child is considered as I can say that the girl child is seen as one of the most vulnerable groups in the society, especially in this part of the world. But if we continue to mentor the girl child without placing premium on the boy child as well, what we are doing is recycling pain. We'll just keep recycling pain in the society because we keep grooming the girl child to become responsible women, to grow up to become responsible mothers, to grow up to become career women, and then we leave the boys out. And then these same girls will now grow up to marry the boys that we did not train. They'll meet these boys at their offices. They'll become their bosses. These boys will become their fathers. These boys will become husbands. They'll become pastors. They'll become imams. And the same pain that we were trying to shield the girl child from, the girl child will grow up and meet such pain in future, simply because we did not mentor the boy child that she got married to, that's now become a wife beater, or simply because we did not mentor the boy child that grew up to become a man and then has become a boss in the office, or some politician somewhere that is harassing her in the political space or in the office. So the major idea behind having a boy child conference is because we cannot continue to mentor the girl child without placing premium on the boy child, because it is not only one gender that makes up the society. If we focus on one gender and leave the other gender apart, whatever the product of lack of mentorship of the other gender, of the boy child, whatever comes like as an outcome of lack of mentorship of the boy child, is going to directly impact the girl child and the society at large. So I think boy child mentorship cannot be overemphasized. It is very important. The prisons are saturated with male offenders because there is lack of mentorship of the boy child. You will barely see, I've been to a lot of prisons. There are some prisons in Nigeria that do not even house female inmates, because based on statistics, there are very limited female offenders as opposed to men, and it's because there is no mentorship for the boy child.
Okay. Now, you've tagged the theme for these events as redefining masculinity. What led you to picking such theme for such a program?
All right, thank you very much. So redefining masculinity first means challenging traditional norms and stereotypes of what a man is supposed to be, especially in this part of the world. So what made us come up with this theme for this time is that if you look at so many things that are going on right now, especially like I'm a lawyer and I do a lot of divorce matters, a lot of criminal litigation, you know. And then when you look at so many things that occasion crime in the society, that occasion social vices, it always boils down to toxic masculinity. So there is a mental construct, there's a picture of masculinity that boys have, that men have, which is very wrong. And if we do not decide, if we do not begin to redefine those mentalities, because some of these mentalities that men have about masculinity is deeply, deeply, deeply rooted in culture, deeply rooted in religion, deeply rooted in, you know, in societal norms that you cannot really, it's very difficult to, it's just like, it's very difficult to sever a person from the kind of mentality he has, the kind of, and those mentalities usually come from, like I said, culture, the kind of things that we see when we are growing up. If we do not begin to redefine masculinity, boys will begin to grow up, they continue to grow up with toxic masculinity. Masculinity, there are different views to masculinity. So redefining masculinity really means that we need to create a right picture of what masculinity is to the boy child, because boys, you know, all around the world, they see different things on daily basis, and there's just been a lot of
Misconception?
yes, thank you for the word. Thank you for bailing me out. You know, there's been a lot of misconceptions regarding what masculinity should be, which I believe that the time has come to begin to redefine masculinity, to shape the ideologies of the boy child, especially in order to grow up as a transition from boyhood to manhood, in order for them to have positive ideology of what masculinity should be.
Now, talking about ideology, let's look at a common or a stereotypical way that a boy child is usually placed. What's that one common that you think at least needs change that has to do with the boy child?
All right, thank you very much. This question is actually a very brilliant question. So, first, there is a misconception that boys should suppress their emotion. Emotional suppression is a very, 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 very terrible misconception. And these are part of the things that we need to begin to focus on. First, we have to get to a point where we make the boy child conscious of the fact that before being a boy is human, right? Every gender, be it male, be it female, we are humans, and then there is something about humans, there's a quality that humans carry, and that quality is the quality of being emotional. So being emotional is not a sin. Being emotional does not make you less of a boy, it does not make you less of a man. But the society has, you know, there's this misconception, just like you said, that boys must suppress their emotion. You know, there are other misconceptions around aggression and dominance. Like as a boy, you're supposed to be aggressive, you're supposed to be firm. You know, during the International Day of the Boy Child, we had a program that we collaborated with the Federal Ministry of Youth, and then we submitted the name of a boy as our mentee. And then I took the boy to the event, and while I was bringing the boy home, and I asked the boy a simple question: why are you soft? Are you a soft boy? And the boy kept saying, I'm not soft. So when I continued to engage him, the reason he decided that he's not soft and he's never going to be soft is because his friends have told him and his brothers have told him that as if you are soft, then you are not a man. You know, so these are the kind of negative misconceptions, negative mentality that boys carry around, and then it impacts on their way of life, it impacts on their behavior. So emotional suppression, aggression and dominance, and the fact that men are not supposed to be vulnerable, boys are not supposed to be vulnerable. So those are the major toxic norms that the boy child has been forced to align with, rather.
Okay. Now, for a boy child that has gone through this particular stuff that you're talking about and is carrying it all along, if you are to advise him to redefine his thoughts regarding that, what would that be?
All right, thank you very much. I actually like to talk to teenagers a lot. I like to talk to young people a lot. So if I'm to advise a boy child who has this mentality of boys are not supposed to express their emotions, boys are not supposed to be vulnerable, boys are not supposed to express themselves, what I'll do basically is probably take the boy to one of my numerous prison tours. And, you know, I feel like the best way to teach somebody is to make them see or to make them peep into real life experiences. So if, for example, this is something that we've done before in the past. You know, maybe you take a boy, for example, on an excursion to a prison trip, and he sits with an inmate, and the inmate begins to share a story that, okay, all this happened to me, or I found myself here today because at some point I bottled in emotion too much, and it got to a point that I had an outburst that made me commit an offense. So first, I would say that to advise such a boy, I would basically, I feel like the best strategy to teach anybody anything is to make them peep into real life experiences. You know, we might not be able to everybody cannot take every boy child to a prison. I'm just saying that because, you know, that's what I do. So basically, would make
so
sure
that
that
understand the repercussions of
yes,
whatever actions they go.
that they understand the repercussions of bottling up. What happens when you bottle up your emotions is that when it gets to a point that as human, you cannot take whatever it is that has been causing pressure, has been causing you to break down, has been causing you to have, you know, mental breakdowns here and there. At some point, you will just give an outburst, and you know, when human beings get to that point, that's why you see somebody that is very gentle, and then you hear that this person killed somebody, and you're like, how this person can barely hurt a fly. So exposing them to real life experiences of people who have gone through the path of bottling up emotions and the outcomes that, you know, that followed, that's going to be number one. Then another thing is exposing the boy child to the right mentorship. Exposing the boy child to role models that are experienced, that, you know, that have gone through life, that have been through all of these things, and then, you know, the role models share their experiences, they see the outcome, they see the negative impact of bottling up emotions, of suppressing emotions. So I think that's basically it.
Okay, now for, let's say, a boy who would want to help another you understand, boy going through this phase, what would you advise him on the best way forward towards, let's say, bringing his friend out of that stereotypical way of carving one's mindset?
All right, thank you very much. For a boy who would like to advise his friend, or would like to influence his friend, you know, the best thing for such boy to do is to lead by examples. Before I can tell you that something works, I have to have tried it out, and it must have worked for me. Yes. So the best thing to do is to lead by examples. And leading by example, leadership doesn't mean that you have to have a role, you have to have a position. In the basic things that we do here and there, even in schools, young boys can show empathy on the other gender and then see the reactions that comes from there. Those are like practical examples that, you know, they can see on daily basis, especially in their interaction with the other gender.
Okay. Now, also for parents who, of course, would want to help, but finding it difficult, or finding the situation hard, based on the fact that it's something that we all grew up, you understand, having. So it's something that, let's say, their fathers taught them, and they believe they need to imbibe such situations into their children. What would be the best advice for them?
All right. The best advice I would say is that first, we have to be intentional. For example, a lot of us, while we were growing up, there was nothing like mobile phones. There was nothing like, you know, if you want to communicate with somebody in another city, you literally have to use the post office system, right? Mm-hmm. But when civilization began to advance, first, phones started coming into the picture, and then when we started using phones, you know, a lot of us when we were growing up were using Nokia like 3310, you know, later, you know, like that, and it just kept evolving. But we did not decide in those times when new technology started coming into the markets. We didn't decide that I didn't grow up with this thing. My parents didn't teach me this thing. Why would I now be using phones? I can as well just decide that, oh, I didn't grow up with this thing. I can dump the phone. But what did we do? We blended with the trend. So now there is a lot of awareness. Like what we're doing right now is we are creating awareness for parents. We are creating awareness for guardians. We are creating awareness for actors in the social impact space, in the development space, to sort of let them know that boy-child mentorship is very, very important, and the importance cannot be overemphasized. So if as a parent, if I can blend with social media trends, I can blend with technological trends, so why can't I blend with something that is going to transform the life of my child? So we have to be intentional. As parents, as guardians, we have to be intentional to say that, okay, this thing has been going on for a long time, and this has been the impact on the society. if the society is going to be a better place, we are going to, each and every one of us will have a role to play. First, my mentor used to say that every societal problem began as a family problem. So if you do not solve the problem of toxic masculinity from your home,
just like the saying, charity begins at home.
Thank you. Charity does begin at home. So it will still transcend to a societal problem. So my charge to parents is that the children that you are bringing up, what would the impact of, you know, your upbringing from those children? What would the impact be on the society? If you don't want to challenge stereotypical norms or traditional norms because of how you'll be perceived, how will it affect the society? So as parents, we must be forward thinking in our approach, forward thinking in our upbringing, especially in the upbringing of the boy child. Because if we fail to bring the boy child properly, if we bring up the boy child properly or mentor the boy child properly, if that boy grows up and becomes a thief, he will not only steal from you, he will steal from the community, he will steal from the society, from different people. And that problem began from the home. So we need to be intentional about ensuring that family problems are solved. If you don't solve the issue of toxic masculinity from the family, it will become a societal problem. Societal problems will become national problems. National problems will become regional problems. So it all it all begins from the family. And then as parents, as guardians, we need to be very, very, very intentional.
Okay, now on a final note for the conference, what are the things that you hope people will take home after the conference, of course?
All right, thank you very much. For the conference, we are going to be having a lot of sessions. First session is going to be about what exactly it means to redefine masculinity. We are going to be going in depth into that, and then we are going to be having sessions on emotional intelligence and positive masculinity for the boy child. We are going to be having sessions on the effect of drug abuse, cultism, and all of those things. And then there's going to be a session where the boys will be given questionnaires. Those questionnaires will be, the questions in the questionnaire will be based on what this boy perceives, perceives masculinity to be. And then we receive the responses from the questionnaire. That is what is going to guide the sessions that we are going to be having. And then we are going to be having breakout sessions as well, where the boys have team leads. The team leads will be giving them a task just to test the level of their mentality, the level of their intelligence quotient, and then the level of how they perceive that boys should behave, how they perceive what masculinity is. And then we come back together and say, okay, after these breakout sessions, this was what this group was able to come up with, this was what we learned from this group, and then we advise the boys. And then we're going to also have stationed counselors. The counselors are going to be a team of mental health professionals. We're partnering with a few mental health professionals, so they're going to be there to attend to boys who have been through trauma, boys who have been through or boys who currently have like mental health issues that they cannot open up to anyone about. So that we're going to have that. And then, you know, all work and no play definitely makes Jack a dull boy. So we are partnering with an arts company as well. They're going to be coming with canvas where the boys can paint. You know, there's going to be like collective painting just to signify that when we come together to ensure that we redefine masculinity, this is what the society is going to be like. So there's going to be like a large painting that the boys are going to, you know, they're going to be a part of. So
okay,
that's
and
it.
that will happen on the 30th, of course.
Yes, 30th of May.
Is there a particular reason why you picked that date?
Okay, so we picked that date. We could have picked the 16th of May, which is International Day of the Boy Child. But we didn't pick that date because there's usually now a few schools are becoming aware of the reason why the boy child also has to be celebrated. And we just felt like there's going to be a bit of activities, a lot of activities around that date. And then we also had, you know, programs lined up, you know, for the boy child for that day. So like this program we're having now is not like the first project we're having for the boy child in this month. This is the second. Okay. So we picked it so that at least schools will have time to, you know, parents will be able to bring their children at that time. There won't be a lot of activities that will hinder people from turning up.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure.
Well, you've heard it all, and it is important that no matter what, we try and also consider the boy child, regardless of the fact that, okay, we are looking also at the girl child. Well, my name is Philip Sliven, and do enjoy the rest of your day.